This we jump into Dragon Skills to start the series, and bottom right corner, Blue Protoss, who will definitely be the underdog. Let's see if he can show us a little bit of an upset. It is Krystianer.
In the top left, as the red Zerg, he is Reynor. Basilisk.
Winner of this moves on to play Spirit in that quarter-finals. So that's obviously what you're looking ahead to. Reynor generally has a pretty good track record against Spirit, so he's probably feeling pretty good. You know, if there was one play I think, Reynor would have preferred to play between Spirit and Hero Marine, I think he would have chose Spirit, because Hero Marine has, at times, had a little bit of a better. Reynor has definitely showed a bit more potential in taking him down. So, yeah, I think Reynor going into this probably feeling good. Kind of enjoyed that last TVT, and is probably feeling good about his bracket for now. Obviously, Cyril and Clem on the other side, they have to scrap it out on their own as well, so... Now, if I'm Reynor, I'm looking at this bracket thinking, man, I'm having a good time. It's possible the Protoss players all destroy each other as well, and something crazy happens there. This bracket seems like a dream for Reynor.
I could see him having trouble versus Max Pax or Showtime. I could see him having trouble for Spirit, too. But I think you're right. I think avoiding Clem and Cyril. He's won the last 3 times.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
That's just,
it is still Reynor favored.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, because we talk about Spirit having been so improved and so good lately. Just wondering if he started to put up he has been taking maps, though. Okay, cool. That's what I was kind of wondering. Very nice.
Yeah. Yep. But not to totally disregard Krystianer. Unfortunately, that is kind of going to happen. Not on purpose, but...
We can start talking about the alternatives if Krystianer shows us what's up in these first couple of games, right? Like, especially after yesterday's EG... yesterday was a couple of series that were just very frank and down to, down to business, and I feel like this may just be one of those kind of series as well, where it's just very frank, down to business, and Krystianer kind of has to come in and prove to us that, good job, you made it through the playoffs, but this is not like, you just about made it through playoffs and you start in the lower bracket and all the top dogs are in the upper bracket, so you have, like, a decent fighting chance in your first series. Like, no, you came in as a lower seed, you're playing against one of the top seeds, and everybody knows there's definitely a difference between these two in terms of results and, past histories, so they're kind of expecting that Krystianer has to cause the upset. So, like I say, show us Krystianer. Prove it.
Yeah. The only credit I can give to this series potentially having an upset factor is that Cyril does typically get down to business in his entire life. Does he crack a smile? Rarely. Takes everything pretty seriously. Reynor is kind of the opposite in that he, in order to really, I think, take things the most seriously and be the most invigorated, he does have to be up against someone that he deems, his equal or maybe even slightly better. And then also has to, take a few punches first. And then you activate, stomp mode for Reynor, right?
Yeah.
Very rarely does he end up, tilting because of any of these things. So, if Reynor is like, yeah, I should be fine here. I'm not angry Reynor. I'm not, what's the Chinese nickname? Darn, the Tiger Reynor?
I'm not Kitty Reynor, I'm Tiger Reynor.
Exactly. Then Krystianer might be able to get, literally the first game, for instance. Reynor being kind of like, yeah, it's okay. Oh, shoot, okay, he's actually pretty, that's a nice timing attack. Oh, shoot, I'm dead. But then afterwards, I think Reynor's going to stop him regardless. So, the only upset potential I can give this is the first game, is actually where I'm at. But, again,
does
Krystianer...
I was going to say, does that lower a little bit for you, seeing him play Oracles, though? Because to me, that already takes away, half of the scariest things Krystianer could have cranked out.
Yeah, unless he's about to really show off some moves with Oracle Adept Control, which is already going poorly. His Oracle is about half health. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a macro game. He can still do a 3-gas Stalker attack, and he currently only has 3 gases. Okay, and a 4th gas comes up. Yeah, the more that I turn this to a macro game, the more that I do expect Krystianer to lose. That's definitely where I'm at.
I mean, it might sound harsh, but it really is just kind of, being frank about it, and we'll see what Krystianer can do. We'll see what he wants to do. I mean, coming into the series and opening up macro at least sort of says that he's got a bit of confidence and belief in himself and, the ability to kind of, step up and stand up. I wonder if he maybe does try something a bit like, this is looking macro, but I wonder if there's a wonky part where maybe he, rushes up to carriers a little bit faster than usual. Twilight and Forge, obviously, probably dissuades us from that idea, but, maybe there's still something that's got kind of a fun little twist to it that maybe try and give him that little bit of an edge, because, again, if this is just straight up, you were just not expecting Krystianer to be in the best of spots, and like you said already, with the Oracle kind of taking a lot of damage initially, already kind of seeing why.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, Oracle's not being too impressive. Not necessarily all bad news. I mean, there'd be other Protosses that we would be giving more credit to defeating Reynor, such as Showtime, who could also have similar abysmal starts. And you know, as long as the Oracles live, we still kind of count it as a pass. But it's nothing flashy. In fact, Reynor is the one who we deserve to give credit to right now. Perfectly defending, target firing as well. Queen's always in position, droning the heck out of these 3 bases. And actually going to be going into Roaches, +1 missile. Seems like a rather basic way of approaching ZVP. Nothing flashy for him on the style, but very, very good on the execution. So he's in a nice position. Krystianer, 6 gases, up to the Templar Archives. Did he mean to start charge? I'm gonna guess he did.
You would imagine so, right? Typically, when you go Twilight Forge, you get a gateway unit upgrade, like Charge or Blink or something. And this style he's playing is Charge or Immortal Archon. But without Charge, there's... Well, yeah, you're missing kind of a very key component of that. We do get some drone damage, though, so we're finally doing okay on the other side. As Reynor starts building up a whole chunk of units, though, I'm just a little bit worried that, again, without Charge, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. And just in general, this damage that he's doing now, it's nice to get some drones, but of course, it's very late. You know, this wasn't like the first Oracle showing up and getting damage done, and the later that damage is done, the less effective it is. So this is something that Reynor can much more easily brush off, shrug away, and just kind of get on with his kind of, you know, game here, which is currently building Roaches, +1 missiles, and Roach speed finishing soon, and deflecting the Prism without any issues at all.
At least Krystianer recognized it didn't get charged. I mean, I was afraid this game would literally be, let's warp in Zealots. Oh, no. But charge is also a relatively quick upgrade, so a couple of Chrono Boosts and just... Oh, the Archon's buying some time and buying some scouting as well alongside the Oracles should give Krystianer the confidence that a charge will at least complete. And as long as it completes, no harm done. 4th base is on the way. Reynor is looking to max out on Roaches. I mean, if Storm was done, I'd feel so confident for Krystianer to defend this, but losing the Oracles, Storm only just beginning, Reynor could go after this 4th base.
Reynor is getting, you know, Overlord speed. I was almost thinking maybe drop the Lords, bring the Oracles, bring the Queens across the map to help with the Oracles, but taking one down, now I don't even necessarily know if we really need that. Just going before Storm and everything seems like just a pretty good idea. We show up and they just start fighting, and yeah, Reynor, he's not fully committed here. Kills off another Oracle with Biles. He's not fully committed. He's got an okay-ish work account, but he's definitely not looking to fully macro. He's not fully set up into everything you would maybe want to have at this stage, so some pressure on him. Let's see what he does. Oh, yeah, the pylon going down. Battery depowered, and it does look very good for Reynor so far, just clearing up units, and there's just not that kind of tanky front line to protect these tech units, ZG.
Charge isn't done. Those poor Zealots. They're slow Zealots. Also, Lings in the main base by the looks of it. Roaches actually just entered the main base. Easy peasy. That's probably going to be it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to do a lot of damage here. You're warping in Zealots. I do now have Charge at least, and they're going to get cleaned up a couple times over, and you still got the large attack at the front, and because you're dealing with the attack in the main, and it's just not being a great game for you, well, Reynor's just going to kind of come through here. He's got units backed into the corner, so corrosive bowels are going to land perfectly. Okay, the battery's doing some healing, but there is just not enough firepower at all here for Krystianer. That is GG's, and Reynor does not waste time taking a 1-0 lead.
No, does not waste time. Very, as I said, basic style. I just think that, you know, Reynor and Lings kind of goes hand in hand, as well as just the flashiness that Lings can achieve. Ling Bane, Ling Ravager was what I was thinking, and then it was just very like humdrum Roach +1 missile, build up the Roaches and go across the map. I feel like if Krystianer, I don't want to put this politely, but basically if you play a little bit better, right? Like, you know, he had Charge, first of all. His Oracle control was a little bit better. His Archons actually did a little bit more than they did. Like, I thought that would, like, again, if Showtime was playing that exact same game, I'd feel really confident for Showtime to take on a more basic, kind of number-based game, because Roach Ravager doesn't have a lot of volatility, just the Corrosive Biles may be hitting.
Yeah.
But Krystianer just got overwhelmed, so that doesn't bode very well. It was a rather simple game, and it was very simply won by Reynor.
It was very simply won, wasn't it? This really had all the makings of like the Sterile versus Gung Fu match, and I just keep bringing it up because it's kind of like the similar like top seed, bottom seed, CVP. And it's just like, you know, the pros play does their build, and then the Zergs kind of done their thing. and they didn't take damage, and so the Zerg just comes across the map and says, well, you didn't really stop me, so now you lose. And obviously, you know, you've got to just do things kind of as perfectly as possible. You've kind of got to get in there and find something as Krystianer, and he just didn't have it in that game number 1. So we'll see if he can maybe find it going into a game number 2, heading into Raw Blood, as we have in the top right side our blue Protoss, Krystianer.
At the bottom left for Basilisk, it is Reynor. It is kind of amazing to think that we would be murdered with the first Adept if Krystianer played us. And yet Reynor just murdered him as easily.
Well, that's just MMR, right? Like,
jeez.
Good few hundred MMR still between Krystianer and Reynor. That is the difference at the top level of StarCraft 2 nowadays. It's vast, you know, like, it's not to say Krystianer will never take maps off of Reynor. We've seen it happen in the past, but Reynor's playing his best game, and Krystianer is just a little bit off. It is meant to go Reynor's way. Like, it is meant, like, that's kind of the harsh reality, but also the beauty of StarCraft, where skill just really is almost exponential. Like, there's just so much you can do to improve yourself and to be a better player, right? And these guys at the very top have absolutely every single ability unlocked, and even they aren't perfect in every single way. So, yeah, when you have a match like this, it really shows it.
Yeah, I also think that just the Zerg ability to really get that min-max going, right, is just so... There's a reason that some of the top players are Zerg, I think, and it's because they are pushing that skill cap even further. It'd be sick to imagine if we had this, like, super supported scene, you know, like a CSGO style support. Let's, like, throw that out there. And how many players would be involved, and how long this would continue on, how much better these players would get. Kind of actually... It's kind of a...
At some point, there's got to be an upper limit, right?
You'd think so, but it's kind of freaky to think about. Like, what if there isn't, right? Like, what if in the future, if, like, in 10 years... the bronze level player who doesn't split their drones is considered bad. And you're just like, oh my god. Things have changed so much.
How do you even get new players at that point? It's like, you open the game and your opponent's like splitting drones, they're like harassing you with the SUV scan, like, sorry, I'm bad, I've only played like, 10 games. Yeah.
Honestly, you go into Brood War, that's what it feels like, man. You're just like, I'm gonna play against someone equally skilled, and then they body you, and you're like, wow, that was something.
Yeah. Man.
Oh, another Stargate opener from Krystianer. I do wonder if he's gonna try and do anything tricky.
Me too.
I mean, I don't know where his headspace is at, but Stargate usually just promotes the idea of a macro game.
No, absolutely. Maybe you go like Starglaives, right? Like an Oracle into Twilight Council, get Resonating Glaives up and just go aggressive off that. But if this is just like Oracle, and Twilight, kind of with a Forge, basically just if he does the same as last game, then, I mean, we can only really repeat what we said last time around, which is, a longer game we don't favor for Krystianer. We already saw it didn't even get to be a longer game because he didn't even really live up to that part of the game, so... yeah, it's kind of on him to show us that if this is how he wants to play, what he's going to do to be able to survive and to be able to get to those next stages.
It could start with just a couple of more zip-zaps on the drone line and already feel more confident for Krystianer, but the Reynor is once again going to defend like he did, and it does seem relatively easy. I mean, again, very much relatively being a key word, but for Reynor, if it is just the oracles, it seems like his queens are always almost always going to be in the perfect position. But you include some of the adepts, because that's what's, I think, really been fun about most recently watching some of the top Protosses, is the way that they do that, like, kind of 4 or 5 adept push out with the oracles.
Yeah.
And then they control the outer space of the creep so well. It's incredibly difficult. It is risky if you don't use it well, if you don't, kind of get that scouting, predict what your opponent's going to do, how much army are they going to make. But if you do it really well, it looks like you're in control. It actually makes the Protoss feel like they have the start of the game. And anything else, like, for instance, just the Oracle usage, it's not that it's wrong. It just feels a little humdrum after watching some of the most recent Protoss play from, Max Packs and Showtime.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's very risky, right? I think that's almost always Protoss players' issue, right? Where you can get to a very good level with Protoss, with, like, the core army concepts and everything, but to really push it to a higher level, you're playing such a fragile game all the time. You're really, like, working with, like, the lowest amount of units until your tech comes online and then surging forward with everything, and You know, in this case, like you say, just kind of take map control with very little, you know, a very low amount of things. But it does so much if you can do it well. And it's the same reason why Glaives almost has, like, so much potential. You know, it's not just, like, a cheesy, like, build that people do to be a bit aggressive. Like, there is so much skill and depth in how you move them, how you position, when you decide to take the fight, when you decide to kind of warp in, and how you warp in. Like, there's just so many, like, little bits and pieces to it. It makes it, you know, extremely fun to watch. It's always a bit different. As Reynor, by the way, Overlord speed starting. Never really had to bring queens across the map and drop lords last time. This fast and overlord speed really does suggest to me some drop lords, queens across the map, and just Ling Roach. I mean, he's already building Ling Roach against oracles with 54 drones. Pretty much an indicator that we are going across this map and we're looking to kill quickly.
No +1 missile this time either, so 100% going to be an all-in from Reynor, looking to capitalize yet again on a macro game that is being set up for Krystianer. And once again, he is late to his charge. Yes, he might have prioritized the Templar Archives first. I think that is very much intentional, but he has 100 available in the bank for charge, and he still isn't getting it. So I don't think that's on purpose. He might have 2 Archons for this attack, but what else will Krystianer have? He certainly knows it's on the way now, but very limited static defense to help out here.
Yep, 2 Archons begin to morph in. He's going to force the Oracles to activate Pulsar Beam ASAP, so it's obviously, you know, going to start draining energy. A sentry goes down, access to the natural nearly granted, but we do get a secondary wall for a moment or two. Now access to the natural is granted for the Lings, and, well, we don't even have the Queen showing up in the Drop Lords yet. They're going to be here soon. The Lings are going to take units up in toward that main base, and obviously Reynor's just going to be a little bit all over him in terms of just kind of forcing fights here, there, and everywhere. Here are the Queens. They're going to at least grab 1 Oracle, right? They do have transfusions available now, too, with the Creep Thread coming down, so, yeah, I mean, it just... I think this is not inevitable right now, but it doesn't feel good for Krystianer, who, if he loses that pylon, by the way, will lose power to his robo. That's the end of Immortal production. There's another one of the Oracles, and again, there's just so much at the moment from Reynor.
Actually, I mean, you know, it is a lot for Reynor, but this probably wasn't the... I don't know, the clobbering that Reynor was probably hoping for, right? Just show up and suddenly win the game. No, this is actually requiring a little bit more finesse, but it does seem inevitably Reynor's reinforcements will overwhelm Krystianer's. If Krystianer had some more static defense, honestly, I think this could have been a lot better. You know, 2 more shield batteries to fall back to, even if they aren't overcharged, could be a big difference. 3rd Immortal is somehow going to pop out. That pylon finally going down and stopping the warp in. The Zealot's looking really, really bad, too, because, again, they didn't get charged. And Krystianer is going to lose this game with 1,200 gas in the bank. You know, like there was actually a possibility, had he been able to buy more time, buy more warp-ins, actually merge Archons, that he would have held against this. But now, nah, not going to happen.
It's such an information game, right? Like, you need to know what's coming your way so you can prepare properly, and in this case, Krystianer just didn't have the information necessary to make the best or correct decisions, and that's kind of what ends up happening, right? You end up in this situation where Reynor will just swarm you, and you know, it was holdable, right? Like, Reynor's, you know, kind of broke in the main and so on, and I don't even know if kind of breaking into the main was that good for him. He didn't really do a lot there. But just being able to have enough to keep on going anyways, like, yeah, he just overwhelmed in the end, and kind of down to Krystianer to still sort of show us what's up. Start charge on time. Like, there's no way he's not meant to have charge, right? Like, Zealots are meant to be kind of good in these scenarios, so, yeah, just kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's actually a real hang-up, too. You know, I think we could always chalk it up to nerves the first game and just a simple slip of the keyboard. You thought you pressed the button, you didn't. You thought you had enough gas, you didn't. But 2 times in a row, you know, in the almost exact same fashion, too. That's really concerning, I guess, is what I'm thinking. Like, at first I was like, whatever. And now it's just like, oh my gosh, it's going to be every single time. And it's probably in the back of his mind, too. So I don't know what his mentality's going on right now. It just gets tougher for Krystianer as he loses games, obviously. So now he's on his last life, almost in the blink of an eye, and Reynor has all the possibilities. He could kind of do whatever he wants, especially if he continues to read Krystianer's macro play. Then he can actually do whatever he wants.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's, I think, the scary part. Reynor just feels like he has freedom, you know, be aggressive, macro. Like, the freedom is there, especially because Krystianer's not doing anything to kind of limit Reynor or scare Reynor. Reynor, for a moment in that last game, started a Roach-Ron early, but then he saw the Oracle. He's like, oh, cool, Oracle. And they just canceled the Roach-Ron. He's like, cool, now I just kind of play my game. Like, you know, I drone up until I want to make the Roach-Ron, until I want to make the units. And yeah, like, obviously, the only way to play Protoss is obviously not just like, oh, you must be aggressive, you must be like Twilight Counseling in his face, but the Stargate style ain't working for Krystianer. He's just not doing enough with it. And yeah, ended up in some tough spots. Up 2-0 in the top right, looking good in this round of 16 match of our European playoffs. It's Reynor.
In the bottom left of altitude, it is the blue Protoss, Krystianer.
We have a lot of Protoss for the rest of the day here in Europe as PvP time begins after this series. Showtime versus Max Packs and Skillus versus DNS. Going to be some fun ones, especially Showtime Max Packs first round is really quite quite the draw. Players who consistently, fight for top 4 in Europe, I would say. Obviously, Max Packs has kind of held that title over Showtime for a while, but definitely 2 players you expect to see in the upper kind of segments of this tournament. Gonna knock each other out, so that's to come. Fun to be had still here today, and of course we're beginning the Americas later today too, so a lot of StarCraft still coming up in the ESL SC2 Masters as we work our way through this current PvZ opening. Not too much going on. Actually gets to go on the natural because Krystianer doesn't scout, and that is about all that's noteworthy for now.
Yeah, nothing else. We'll talk about it when we see that first technology building come down for Krystianer. But, some of the other matches today, or the round of 16 in general, they just seemed a bit better matched. Some of them because of unexpected results of the Swiss stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
this one is the expected. Reynor got first, Krystianer barely squeaked by in 8th. But the next match, the Max Pack Showtime, it's because Max Pack's kind of underperformed a little bit in the Swiss group. I mean, a difficult group, but yeah, still. So it does still kind of go back to the Swiss group a little bit. Showtime actually the favored if you read into the seeding like that. But in this one, it does, again, add even more evidence to the fact that Krystianer is, he's up against literally one of the world's best Zergs. I just can't say enough about how unfair this is for Krystianer, who got exactly what the Swiss system determined to be fair. So that's fine, but it still sucks as a player to not get someone else, maybe like a Bly, and then you definitely have a chance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a rough draw. I mean, I think a lot of the time you just have to be like, hey, cool. I had a tough time getting to top of 16, but I got there. And I'm probably not going to win this, but, be happy that I, did what I did already and see what we can do from that point on. As this Adept goes shading forward, try and pick up some information. We're still waiting on that Stargate to spin up an Oracle. And there it is. So, Stargate, 3rd time in a row. Krystianer really is not spicing it up. I mean, it is surprising to me, ZG. I kind of mentioned it already, but, Stargate during a PvZ, sure, that's not surprising at all, but I did think Krystianer would at least, considering this could be his last game, would at least at some point try something outside of the Stargate.
He's changed it up a little bit by being more aggressive with the Adepts, but that is not working out. I still like the change, though.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really not working out.
Oh, nice catch.
Excellent defense by Reynor. Yeah, okay, 2 drones. Got him.
Okay.
So, I would understand if Krystianer said, I could really have played the first game a lot better. Again, that charge missing out, the controlling the oracles. Hey, 4 drones. That's not bad at all, actually. Hey! 7 drones with the oracle swooping in, and this main base also looking like a juicy target.
Absolutely. This was actually, in the end, brilliant. I mean, the first 2 Adepts were being chased, and they forced a little drone pull. They got 1 kill. It was the second Adept got so much done just going between bases at the right time and then enabling the Oracle to come in. Not protected against properly. Krystianer gets the start he's been looking for, and his follow-up this time, ZG, is double Stargate Phoenix.
I love it. I love this so much more for Krystianer. Thank goodness. Obviously, the start's fantastic, but then the follow-up as well. Just that slight difference. Reynor thought that he had figured Krystianer out to a certain extent. And again, it's not like Krystianer's other games were badly thought out. They're totally normal things to do. Oracle harassment into the charge. Well, ideally into the charge. And the Archon. But changing it up like this, that's a big move. I was trying to say if Krystianer thought I could improve on that first game in the second game in the exact same style, I think that's valid. It's just that he made the exact same mistake, and then, of course, he got all in. It wasn't a macro game. But just to say now at this point, you know what? I tried it 2 times in a row. Let's really change it up. That's absolutely necessary. And Krystianer has the best chance to win a game yet.
Yes, no, I mean, this is the absolute dream setup in terms of damage done early. They're currently banking the Phoenix in the main base. Reynor does not have a scout on that right, so he does not know what this follow-up is, and Phoenix going unscouted almost always means some additional damage done because they're going to show up. There's not going to be proper prep for them, and then you can get a lot more done in general. So definitely expecting them to be successful. The only thing I will say is that Reynor at this point is still only seen one Oracle, right? And maybe that's kind of alarm bells ringing in a little bit, in a little way. And he does start building some Roaches, but obviously Roaches are not going to do much against these Phoenix, so this is more like, I think, Reynor saying, oh, maybe this is like a faster Twilight follow-up, when in fact it's the double Stargates. And yeah, now these Roaches are kind of just dead weight. They can maybe move across the map and then get killed as they get lifted. Queens at least will take position and will, for the moment, deflect these Phoenix. Let's see if he can keep doing that.
I do think something was, you know, alarm bells were going off in the back of Reynor's mind, because you point out the Roach Swarm, but even the already further production of Queens, he was already building extra ones even before the Phoenix showed themselves. So he's kind of a little more prepared than maybe Krystianer was hoping, which is literally just like 2 Queens creep spreading. You kill those, you kill the inject Queens immediately after. The Queens actually get to stand together and stand kind of strong. But it was nonetheless a surprise. Reynor's build certainly isn't as perfected as it was in the first 2 games. And Krystianer has given himself some breathing room with this, again, the opener of the drone kills and the follow-up of the Phoenix. Now trying to follow up into some Blink +1 attack, 4th base on the way. Feels like he's also maybe got a bit more of a groove, like he's warmed up, so I don't see any mistakes as far as forgetting spells or too big of supply blocks. So I'm really hoping this will be a back and forth CDP.
Yeah. I'm really, really hoping that we get something a little bit closer and a little bit more kind of feisty. And yeah, obviously we've done the damage initially here. That Reynor's definitely got to scrap his way back into it, which, you know, gives us the good chance to see a good game, because now the favorites are at deficit, and definitely one I can see Reynor overcoming. But obviously it just ain't going to be simple. It ain't going to be straight ahead. You're not just going to spam units and hit one big time and boom, that's it. It's going to be very different to that as we try to get up into a Hive. A Hydroden starting too. I wonder if the goal here is Lurkers and just sort of setting up Lurkers against what's going to be this Blink Stalker pressure. Getting there is going to be difficult, though. I mean, the Blink Stalkers should be pressuring well before Lurkers are ready, if that is the idea. If there's something else, I mean, even then, I mean, Blink Stalker's about ready to go, and Reynor is a long way off anything additional beyond the Roaches.
His supply is really not very healthy for a Zerg player. He's down in drones, equal army supply. It's pretty terrible. And, you know, yes, he is investing into Hive technology, so that explains some of the missing supply. But it's also all the damage that he took. Like, he's just really not been set up as well as he would hope. And if Krystianer pushes with these Stalkers, if he could get a Warp Prism, and no Robo though, or Proxy Gateway, I think it'd actually be a game-winning move. Without the instant Warp-ins, Reynor's got a chance. But he's not even seeing this move out. That 4th base... Oh, no, he's going to defend. Okay, so he did see it. But it's still going to be a decent amount of pressure. The Stalkers, hopefully going to live forever. Yep. And so far, so good on that. No, one Stalker went down.
Yeah, we lost one. Couple Stalkers on the bottom side. Queen's actually getting some work done on the Phoenix as well. Reynor begins to put in some of the work defensively here. And again, he is working his way towards those Lurkers. With Lurkers up on the field, he would put himself in a position where it's just that much easier to hold certain places. It's going to be a bit tougher for Krystianer to push in. And that could just be the delaying mechanism Reynor needs, especially against someone that's currently just massing gateway units, to really give himself the edge back in this game. So Krystianer's done a lot, but like you said, I think the real miss here is that he just doesn't have the setup to really keep on pushing, to keep on reinforcing every single time. And so many reinforcements at home that are just not being used in this fight when Reynor was really at his weakest, not just in army, but because he was teching up so much too.
Yeah, he definitely was going to have a weak point if there was some form of reinforcement. Because those reinforcements are like 8 Stalkers at a time, guys. That's quickly going to change the balance of power if Reynor especially can't afford to get to those Lurkers. Now, since Reynor was able to kind of just show up with his army, push away the Stalker army, he is getting to Lurkers, which are especially important to start helping out against these multi-pronged attacks. Now, if Krystianer can really keep up the aggression and really keep up the multitasking, he might find opportunities to kill individual Lurkers, which would really be ideal, because he needs to do that and needs to buy time to probably get into Stargates, actually. If he's not able to break Reynor right here in some significant way, then Reynor will have very good technology. But at least getting 12 drones, catching some of the army off guard, Krystianer not letting up quite yet. I mean, the aggression's good, but you do have to worry about that timer, basically. Until the 10 Lurkers show up, you can do this, but 10 Lurkers, maybe you don't continue pressuring with Stalkers.
Yeah, 10 Lurkers plus the fact that Adrenal Glands, melee upgrades, Lings are getting better and better here, and you've got Lurkers against the Zealots, and the Lings can do very well against the Stalkers too. You move forward there, he does find a Lurker before blinking back. Solid stuff from Krystianer. Those are the kind of moves you want to be seeing. Chances to cut down that Lurker count, and there is the Fleet Beacon, the 2 more Stargates. You said it. It's kind of what he needs to fight against this in a longer-term scenario. So he is going to get himself a chance to get into that, and of course, the more he does now, the better chance he gets to set up into that. That was a lot of shield damage taken for Queen Kill, but doesn't lose anything too meaningful. We do have these units of Reynor. I mean, Reynor's maxed out, so Reynor's army is there. I wonder if, is there a point where Reynor wants to go across the map here and try and fight now before the Stargates get online? Is that a possibility? If he can?
Well, it's exactly why Krystianer has to stay so aggressive, is that he needs to see that incoming, needs to pick off the units as they come across the map. So I do think it's a possibility, absolutely, for Reynor, but if Reynor misjudges, there's way more Stalkers and Zealot run-bys than he was expecting, or there's already carriers, then he would be the one in trouble. So this actually is this is actually Reynor holding on. He's not comfortably playing. Oh, position. Woo! Woo! Well, there you go. Now's the time to move on across. 4 carriers are on the way. 2 of them, I think, are already halfway done. But Krystianer doesn't actually have a complete setup against what is exactly 10 Lurkers. Look at that.
Yep, 10 Lurkers is the magic number. Well, now he's got 9. But Lings and Lurkers get in position on the other side. Lurkers going to do work against those Zealots, and these Stalkers are just taking a beating. Obviously, already taking that shot from the whole position beforehand, and well, the Lings won out their fight on the bottom side, so this Robo facility will indeed be dropping. There's more Zealots showing up, but they're all disjointed, and it just feels like Reynor pushing across the map is going to do very well. Now, the first carriers are popping out. First one out, second one about to spawn. There's a few more, but they're a little bit further away. Obviously, the question is, how much can you get done as Reynor before those carriers get the cleanup? If they can get the cleanup, because with enough Hydras here, these Interceptors may not be enough right now, and I don't necessarily love that one carrier is fighting on its own, because every Interceptor that drops feels very difficult to replace at the moment, and yeah, maybe this is just not going to be enough at all for Krystianer. Stalkers really cannot get involved in this fight in the slightest.
Unfortunately for Krystianer, the timing was just a little too good. I mean, seriously, if he hadn't lost those Stalkers to the Lurkers, he might have been able to buy those extra 20 seconds that meant that the 4 carriers were out with all of the Interceptors, maybe even +1 finish too, because that got targeted down pretty quickly. And then it's very different, but it is going to be a 3-0 for Reynor. I'm happy that Krystianer at least got to show us his actual potential, because those first 2 games, he was clearly off. Just that charge was really, that's just inexcusable at this level. But the third game, he was kind of feeling it. He had the momentum, he had the pacing.